Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another scintillating episode of PNSQ Chronicles, the only vidcast that you are going to see for the Pacific Northwest Software Quality Conference, if I have anything to say about it. I am Michael Larsen. Sri Lubala is not with us today. She is vacationing and probably having a grand time of it. I look forward to hearing her trip report when she comes back. So you get me, and in this case, you get what looks to be my identical twin. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not familiar with Michael Bolton, I would like to introduce you to him. His own company, DevelopSense. He is a software testing consultant, training consultant, almost everything consultant. If I'm being 100% honest, it seems like he has his toes in a lot of things, but it definitely seems like he's more on the side of teaching and training. And I've probably mangled all that. So, Michael, welcome, and feel free to fill in if I messed any of that up.
Not too badly. I really like doing consulting work directly, but I suppose I'm better known as a teacher and a trainer. Love playing banjo when I'm at home and mandolin when I'm on tour. My wife and I have that as our principal hobby, playing Irish trad music. And you're a musician yourself, right?
Yes, indeed. Yes, I am. Didn't expect to do this, but hey, why not? Ensign Red, link in bio. And if you want to go, you can find us on Spotify and all digital media. With that, though, we are here talking about... Michael is going to be participating with us as a keynote speaker and also as a workshop presenter. In fact, he's presenting a full day workshop, but more about that in a bit. First, we want to talk about the keynote speech. And as you probably can all guess, if you've looked at the program at a glance, and if you haven't looked at the program at a glance, we welcome you to do so. Link will be in the show notes. You will notice that a lot of the talks are based around AI. I mean, what isn't these days? So, in fact, Matt's and my talk is also about AI, so don't be surprised. But in this case, Michael is also going to be talking about from a different perspective, and I'll let him give an intro to it. But the title is, What Are We Thinking in the Age of AI? And I'm guessing that there's a special emphasis that should be on the we there, correct?
Yeah, I think it would be very worthwhile and important for testers to think about AI. So we as a testing community, as testers, it's our job to think critically about stuff. It's our job to recognize problems. And it's our job to be aware of the way in which tools and technologies can help us, but also in terms of the way they can fail to help us and, in fact, undermine what we're doing sometimes. That's going to be one part of the talk. One of the things I do want to do is perhaps touch on things where certain kinds of AI and certain kinds of large language models, certain applications of large language models might not be terribly harmful. It's in how you use it and in what you use it for. What often happens with many kinds of technologies is that we forget whatever a technology does, more than anything else, it amplifies and extends and enhances and enables and intensifies and accelerates whatever we are. And that's really important to consider, because if we're careless, then media tools will amplify our carelessness. And if we're thoughtful, then they can amplify our thoughtfulness. What happens, though, is that they do all of the things that they do in every direction at once. So if we're critical, then tools accelerate our criticalness. And if we're perceptive, they enhance our perceptiveness. But if we're oblivious, they accelerate our obliviousness as well. Another thing that we do regularly as human beings is we fool ourselves. And as Richard Feynman famously pointed out, you got to be careful about fooling yourself, because you are the easiest person to be fooled. Not you, Michael, in this case, but me, Michael, in this case. You got to pay attention to the ways in which all of our technologies intensify us, and AI is certainly no exception.
Very cool. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing this. By the way, we should mention that the keynotes and invited speakers are all in the main ballroom, and the main ballroom is also going to be part of the free track I will mention this because there are those who want to participate and who, for various reasons, can't afford to participate in the full conference. Totally understandable, especially in this current climate and time. But if you want to be able to participate and listen to the keynote talks and the invited speakers, you will be able to do so. However, we do have one other thing that Michael will be participating in that you must be present to play, and that is a workshop that he is presenting. And specifically, this is something new that, well, new in the sense of what I'm familiar with Michael teaching. I'm very familiar with the rapid software testing courses that he's taught over the years, but this is rapid software test automation. That sounds like an exciting new wrinkle. Can you tell us about it?
Rapid software testing focused automation, which is the official title of the day, is focused on avoiding the traps. It's focused on people who aren't necessarily themselves coders. What we're going to talk about is ways in which tools and code can help us, and recognizing that, as my colleague James Bach is fond of pointing out, if you're not a coder, you actually have at least two really good options available. One is you can learn to code, and the other is you can get help from people who are capable of doing that for you. Boy, oh boy, it would be nice for people to get a little bit of experience with the product, to experiment with it and to explore it. That's the essence of what testing is all about, before inflicting it on an unsuspecting public. Let's be prudent and thoughtful rather than rushed and reckless.
Very deliberate, very demure. To quote a meme right now. Well, this sounds like it is a fantastic opportunity. And I can also speak from one who is kind of in the same boat. When people ask me about automation capabilities and coding capabilities, to borrow from Real Genius, do you run? My answer is when chased.
Well,
but a lot of the time it comes down to the fact of, if you need me to do it, I can do it. There's a whole lot of things I would much rather do, but given the choices and given the need, if you need me to actually develop automation, I could think about a lot of ways I would like to see it done that we haven't done it thus far. It sounds like you are going in the realm of prudent automation, and that sounds cool.
I am advocating prudent automation, but I'm also advocating pragmatic automation. And what I would love to do is two things. One, expand our notions of what we can use tools for. Here's a thing that we have been doing for years and years and years in the testing business, which I think is to a certain degree lamentable, which is the idea of giving testers a set of instructions to follow. Do this, then do that, and compare what you see from the output of the program with this thing that we've got written down over here, a specified and presumably desirable result. And they call that testing. But I would suggest that what we're looking at there is, in fact, demonstration. Now, of course, a demonstration can turn into a test if something surprising happens. It doesn't have a lot of the test nature to it. It's not a challenge to the product in any way. And to the degree that it is a challenge, it's a challenge that the product has risen to many, many, many times. For me as a tester, that is, among other things, especially when people say we have to run all the tests that we've ever run before, every time on every build, that's neither risk-focused nor worthwhile. Let's focus, if we're going to do that at all, and I would suggest it's not really a great idea to do that, but if we're going to do that at all, let's at least do it on things that are in the neighborhood of having been changed. One of the uses of tools that people don't seem to pay very much attention to is, well, what has changed? And what might get affected by that change? That's one element of it. But what about the data? What about exploring the data? What about exploring ways in which data can be rich, diversified, pathological, and focused on discovery of problems rather than conformance to the same danged things we've done over and over and over again? The class has two focuses. One is expanding our notions of how we might use tools. The other is avoiding the traps in certain approaches to tool use, how we can make choices about which tools to prefer and which tools to use. The old tests, the old experiments, the old scripts are not necessarily going to find the problems related to the new code. So maybe just in there, we'll sneak a little bit of conversation about what, among other things, regression testing might mean.
That sounds like a lot to cover in one day. And it sounds like those who are going to be participating are going to have a whole bunch they can sink their teeth into. And yes, for those out there, there are still slots open if you would like to sign on for this. Link for registration is going to be in the show notes for this. As of right now, I want to say thank you to everybody for joining us for PNSQ Chronicles, and we will be back real soon with more speakers, more talks, more topics, and more of PNSQC. We definitely hope to see you there, and thank you so much for joining us. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Michael. It's been a pleasure. Nice connecting with you again.